videotaping it from the get-go.
Yeah.
We put it on the Twitch, or on Twitch, which is
live streams on Twitch.
Yeah, and it allows you to pick whatever camera angle you want to watch it at.
Well, no, it doesn't. I have to switch it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it just records. So I switch it when like you're talking more. I switch it to you. If it seems like we're all kind of talking, I do the overhead. I put up pictures of the guests that we have.
Otherwise, you're just sort of looking at one thing. But
There
you
is.
have like a bunch of different screens going at the same time.
Right, and that one I checked into. It's about $99 a month to be able to do that. But this is just easier just to do this.
$99 and we get to stay on there longer than 14 days?
No.
We still get the 14 days.
Just 14 days. Because then you would have to, $99 is for the program to be able to record multiple screens. Then you would have to pay for Twitch Prime as a distributor, which is like another $79 or something a month to stay on there for 60 days. And then after that, it goes off anyways. So it's just easier to stream it on Twitch, get the raw footage, and then put it on YouTube.
There's even spoilers on the queue history.
Of WrestleMania, do not touch them. Still have to watch it with my son.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. It is not on my laptop. But it's on my phone.
Huh?
The cameras run into my...
Oh yeah, he's all tech.
So each one of the cameras runs into a different port in my laptop. But because they're all the same camera, I have to put each one in a different port. So I have one camera running into this USB, one camera running into this USB, and one camera running into the splitter. And then off the splitter, I'm also running the microphone, which picks up anything that comes off of, like when we speak in the mic or do our phone, and also the overhead camera, because that one's a different bus serial. So it recognizes as a separate kind of camera. The reason that I have to run these three in 3 different ports is because they're all the same camera. So this program will only recognize one of those cameras off of one of these at any given time. So I can't run like all 3 off of this one. It won't recognize it. And then this is just a program that you can download for free for Twitch. It's called OBS. Oh, hold on here. Sorry, I should have been doing this. Pretty sure, there we go. And so what you can do with it is you can have a whole bunch of different scenes. Each scene you can put it to a different source. Like the pre-show scene is all images that I have on my computer that it'll do it in an image slideshow. Then all the cameras are labeled differently. If I wanted to, I could make it to where, excuse me, anything that I have playing on my laptop screen, I can then broadcast through the thing. You with the Twitch, you have to have, once you sign up for Twitch and to produce it, you get a key. You enter it into this program, and then it automatically broadcasts on your channel whenever you hit start streaming.
It only stays up for 14 days.
But it'll live stream, and then it'll save that video for 14 days, unless you want to pay for a premium membership, and then it'll go up to like 60.
You can download it and do whatever the hell you want.
Well, so then you can record it, and when you record it, it goes directly onto your laptop, and then that is what I take and put onto YouTube.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I run an alarm and camera company now, and I've had several people that do podcasts that are wanting me to do advertisements with them, try to trade like cameras.
Okay.
And
Well, these I bought off of Amazon for like, I think they were like $9 a piece. They were really cheap. That one is actually a really expensive camera that I found a deal on Amazon. They were running it in a small time. It's like a $500 camera I got for like 180 bucks. It's 4G. It came with a wide angle lens, and it specifically the reason I bought it is that it can be used as a webcam.
Oh, you can grab the ahead.
www.podcastandsplit.com. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's the Undercard. The Undercard brings you the best in hand combat sports, featuring major interviews, current events, and the hottest ring girls from around the nation. The Undercard is sponsored by Falling Down Beer Company, Podcast and Church Studios, and is produced by Rochelle Whitten. And now, here are your hosts, Brad, Cody, and Jimmy.
Welcome to the Undercard, everybody. Holy cow, the mic is hot. We got in with us right now a very special guest of the show. There would not be an Undercard if joining us in the studio he was not around. But it is Greg from Prudential Alarm. You can find his company at prudentialalarms.com, but he's more importantly a friend and a huge MMA guy. It's not like nothing happened this week in the world of MMA. We take a week off, Jimmy. See, that's the problem. I do miss the Sunday shows because a week goes by like that, and I mean, we could talk about McGregor now for a year. Like, you know, we're way behind on the curve now.
Yeah, it just
because it all, yeah, the shit hits the fan as soon as we
right, exactly.
we do the show. But we'll be getting into that when Cody Stamen gets in here. Obviously, he's a UFC fighter, so we're definitely curious about his opinions on everything. But we do have some stuff that we want to cover. First off, this show is brought to you by a lot going on this weekend. Detroit Golden Gloves. It's actually happening at Bert's Warehouse down in the Eastern Market District. Friday, 7 p.m., Saturday, 2 p.m., Sunday, 2 p.m. Then Night of Knockouts is happening at Motor City Casino Friday night, Friday the 13th, 7 p.m. That is sold out. There may be some tickets that fighters will turn in, but that is a sold-out event, and that's happening Friday at Motor City Casino. But try the box office at the casino. You never know. And TXC is happening at Burton Hall, and that's in Livonia, Michigan, I believe, and that's happening on Saturday night. Joseph Battaglia's got a nice MMA card going. Marco Smallman is part of the main event, so I don't know. That's a really busy local weekend. You know, the state officials, they don't cover amateurs, but they're going to be busy otherwise. And then if you're into amateur boxing and you try to hit all three, it's like a hat trick. So try to fit it all in. But since we're waiting on Cody to talk all things MMA, down to Khabib and all the stuff that's happened, I was just going to cover really quickly Eastern Michigan. Greg was there too. Great venue, great event that was produced by Vegas Knights.
Vegas Knights.
Yes. A little bit of everything. You had concert, you had MMA, you had boxing, and you had a ladies' lounge, which I actually went up into, and it was actually really nice. They had mimosas for free for the ladies.
We had taquitos, mimosas, fruit, cake pops, T-shirts, and massages.
The guys had a slot machine that they could play in the corner, and that was what the guys got. But
that's nice.
Right. So the promoter, Mr. Griffin, from Vegas Knights, went above and beyond. The VIP tables, Greg, you were already gone.
Oh my goodness.
But when after you had left, they had already had like finger sandwiches there and champagne, like all you could drink on the VIP tables. Then they rolled out, I'll have to send you a picture of it. Have you ever seen that vodka that's like a gold bar?
All right, yeah.
They brought them out like in stacks of gold bars and rolled them out to the tables so they had the vodka. It was actually
cool.
Really, really neat.
That was one of the coolest events I've ever seen, man. That was really well done. It was really cool.
The production value is huge,
right,
you know. Yeah. Even the lighting rigs, which my partner Bob Ryder, he loved the lights. They had additional lights there so that the fights were able to be seen. And I don't know when that was built. Probably 95, 94 maybe. I don't know, but that's still that small little arena still holds up in time. It's really nice with the glass and the way it attaches
I feel like
to
it
the
doesn't
football.
get used enough. It feels like a brand new place to me.
Right. Now you were telling me, go back in your time machine. You saw a concert there.
Godsmack, yeah.
I would have never thought Godsmack
awesome.
played there.
Oh yeah, they sold it out, man. It was a cool show.
And so it's for people that's not familiar with the EMU Convocation Center, I'd say, 9,000, 8,000, 7,000? It's a smaller arena. It's not like a Joe Louis Arena / LCA.
I saw how many it holds.
7,000 maybe? But
It's small enough. Godsmack singer Solly Erna, he does this thing in his shows where he will go around with a spotlight and call people out if he thinks they're not rocking out hard enough. Well, in that place, he could really call people out. Like, he literally pointed people, got the light on, and said, this is a fucking rock show. Get on your fucking feet. Like, and he wouldn't perform. Can I swear on your show?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
absolutely. Absolutely.
No!
Yeah. So, I mean, he would stop the show until he got everybody up, so it was cool.
9,500.
95? So
Yeah.
that's close, 9,000.
Yeah.
So I do know that Vegas Nights is going to do a show in October. So I'm just going to talk the boxing side really quick because I write for FightNews.com. But let's start off with Leonardo Tyner. Nicknamed him Little Ball of Hate. God, is that guy entertaining. I tell you what, Leonardo Tyner doesn't have much time. This is my expression I use all the time lately, and Rochelle's probably tired of hearing it. He's closer to the sunset than he is the sunrise in his career. But if you get an opportunity to see him, I do recommend watching Leonardo Tyner. First off, everything about him is likable. He talks outside of the ring as much as he talks inside the ring. There was a point in the fight where somebody asked him to do an uppercut. He acknowledged the crowd and then did an uppercut. This is when he's cruising along in the fight. And he's still the hardest body shot I think I've heard ringside. He makes people pee blood from weeks on end after that. But the Little Ball of Hate thing comes in a good way. It's not in a bad way. It's meant that he's just so mean. He's like a little Tasmanian devil in there, and he punishes his opponents. And I gave him the nickname.
He serves the pain.
Yes, he does. The pain server. That's why he got the nickname. But I like Little Ball of Hate, just the way he's talking in there. There's some of the funniest trash talking was happening. He's walking around and he's telling the guy he hit like a girl or he hit soft, and just walking around and doing his thing. But he's a boxing fan's boxer, and you're going to get his best effort. He doesn't quit. And he likes being in there, and he has a lot of fun. And while he was getting his drug test, I don't take selfies with fighters too often, but I really do like Leonardo. And he was getting his drug testing done, and I got probably the funniest little selfie with us. But I do enjoy Tyner. And then Ballard had a big comeback fight. God, my mind just went blank on his opponent, Britain, Norwood.
Yes.
Norwood. If you don't know the backstory, Norwood had knocked out Ballard out of state.
In Oregon in December.
There you go. And this was a rematch that you typically don't see this at this stage of both of their careers. But Norwood comes in with a winning record. His last loss was supposedly because he didn't have any corners and he kicked over a spit bucket. Just a really polished fighter. And James Ballard's coming off a loss, not only a loss, a TKO loss in which he looked horrible. Well, the fight goes on where the first two rounds, both of them are just throwing away. Like, you didn't think both of them could keep the pace the whole fight because the fight was 8 rounds, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so they both don't work the body. And that's what Norwood probably made his biggest mistake. He just kept hitting him in the head and never went to the body to wear down Ballard. When the dust settled after the 2 rounds, Ballard was able to just fight mean. Something we've not seen from Ballard, and we've heard the potential. We knew that in gyms, everyone's like, oh, he hits hard, and he looks good in gyms, and he looks mean. And then I got to witness him spar Jarrell before Jarrell's fight in Flint, and he looked more aggressive than I had seen, but it just didn't translate to real fight nights, so you couldn't explain it. But this night, it came together for him. He was able to fight through holds. He looked mean. He was hitting them hard. He knocked Norwood down 3 times. Cruises to a unanimous decision, just like Tyner won his previous fight. And those 2 fights rounded out a pretty good night of entertainment. I don't know if their Vegas Nights is going to do MMA and boxing again. Bob Ryder, my partner, thinks it kind of ruins the flow a little bit. He likes the idea, but you had such a great boxing match with Ballard. Then you went back over to MMA, and that was such a dud of a fight because that was the heavyweight that tapped right away. You missed the heavyweight fight.
No, I
Greg.
saw that one.
Oh, you saw that one?
Yeah, I ended up going to the bathroom when they were doing their walkouts. I was behind them.
Tapped right away. I was like,
Yeah, well, I mean, I was wondering why he tapped, but I think something was broken in his face, man. Because
oh, really?
about 15 seconds after he tapped and they called it, it was delayed. I've never seen anything. Blood just started gushing out of his face.
Oh man.
Yeah. So
Maybe he knew something was coming.
Yeah,
I'm getting out of
he
here.
was done. He knew.
But I mean, you got to come in, Greg. What did you think of it? I like, and I know what Bob Ryder's saying. I like the concept, MMA, boxing.
You know what?
But-
I'm a spectator. I'm a fan, right? I'm not a professional. I don't
Yeah.
know what you know. I loved it. I thought it was really cool, and that's one of the things I thought was so unique about it. And even the fact they had the stage in the middle of the concert. So like as a spectator out for a night to something to do, man, it was really cool. I think they should keep it like that again.
Yeah.
For me, I didn't feel like it interrupted the flow of anything. I just
Uh-huh.
thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the most important thing.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, you'll tell your friends,
Right, exactly.
and the next time maybe
Yep.
more people come, and
Yep.
that's the most. And that's boxing's so weird. It's just a niche sport. So is MMA, but you can't explain why there's a few people in the audience, and you can't explain when you have sellouts sometimes.
I could explain why a lot of people didn't come out. Everybody wanted to see that UFC fight.
That's true.
Even I left early, and I was having a good time.
Right.
And it's hard to plan something like that around the UFC's schedule, but that
And that's so
happens.
tough because what you have is way in advance planning by both everything. Oh, I'm sorry, Cody. just texted
You
me.
concentrate
Okay.
on.
All right,
Oh,
yeah,
right?
dude. I'm like,
Does he need to get in?
I don't think so.
no, he's
Okay.
good.
Concentrate on
I'm
the interview,
concentrating.
Brad.
I'm concentrating.
Why is
Okay,
my
well, I have a
mic
question.
down?
Well,
Why is
does
my
any-
mic down? My mic needs to be up.
Jesus.
No, there we go. Okay.
All right, what were you gonna say, Michelle?
Well, about the seating arrangements. So if you were to buy a ticket, are you going to know when you buy that ticket if, let's say, I'm coming there to watch boxing, but then I get stuck over on the MMA side? I'd be kind of pissed.
I don't know. I'm sure the VIP tables knew. It seemed like a lot of the VIP tables were on the boxing side.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to afford the VIP table.
It was no, I thought it was for what you got. If that
Right,
price
for
is
what you
right,
got, but
did you
that
tell me the
doesn't mean-
price?
No,
Somebody
I
told me
don't
the
It was
know
price.
what
$1,000 table, I thought.
Yeah, but I think you got $1,000 worth. Of,
Absolutely.
Like,
but at the
he
same,
kept bringing
I'm
more
talking
stuff
about
out.
the just
I
the
think there were
regular,
businesses that
regular
bought the
person.
VIP table.
I
I'm
bought
talking about
$1,000 tables that came with nothing and no good fights.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
If it came with all that, that's a great deal.
No, I agree with that. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like just a regular guy coming in there like I really want to watch, Ballard fight, and then I got stuck watching these girls, which wasn't a bad fight, but he's over on that side of the stadium.
Mhm.
If they would have used the big screens, that would have been nice.
That would have been
for
nice,
people.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't have that set up.
Because we were on the boxing side, and when everyone stood up, we couldn't see the
Right.
MMA
Exactly.
anymore, which we could have tried to peek
That's
up
what
and
I'm
see.
saying. Like when Callie took her to the ground,
Everyone ran over there.
but from where I was, I'm like I don't know what's going on.
We didn't know either because everybody's standing up, and even
Mhm.
the people that weren't MMA fans that were there for boxing had ran over there, and now we're blocking our vision.
Right.
And then we went and stood by Mike over there, I think, for the last round, and we could kind of get a line of sight. But the floor, that's the bad thing with any floor, and I've told you, covering media for big events, is that once that goes to the ground, everyone's looking up at the screen because
Exactly.
you no longer have line of sight.
Mhm.
Because it's just, even
That
as
was
media
probably
where
my
they don't
only
allow
complaint.
people to stand,
Right.
I'm a shorter guy and line of sight's down, so
Mhm.
you're kind of looking up and seeing whatever's doing. If you ever watch Dana White, he never watches it live. He's always watching the monitor. Like, I mean, he'll be there right ringside, but he's watching the monitor to see what the production value is. So even being ringside, sometimes people are kind of watching the thing. Cody's gonna be here in a second. I can't wait, dude. There's so much UFC talk, but it's like, I'm trying to. I feel like
It's like Christmas
Yeah.
morning.
like talk
Santa
baseball
show
during
up.
sex so you don't have an eruption or ruin the moment or something, like, like start thinking non-UFC thoughts or something like that so you don't burst. But great event. And then you got more boxing coming this week in Detroit. Winford Harris is going to be the main event. A couple good heavyweights are fighting. That thing always sells out, and sure enough, I was on Ticketmaster today, and it says sell out. The only way you're going to get a ticket if some boxers have some and they turn them back in. Also, the weigh-in is on Thursday, so come out to the weigh-in at Motor City Casino and get to experience that. That'll be about 3 or 3:30. But if you've been with us since the beginning, not only are you old, but thank you for being with us for 5 years. But Greg was on show 3, the show that
It was
pivoted.
the show.
It was the show. I still rank it number 1. Tony Harrison rapped on it. Everything flowed. It was the one where I got drunk. I did the unnecessary experiment on. You remember? It was fun.
Oh,
Expecting a
yes.
growler. I don't know what happened.
Yes, I
They don't know
definitely remember
growlers.
that.
But what have you been up to since then, man? So it's been 5 years since you've officially been on. Probably about the week or close to
Pretty,
the week.
yeah,
Yeah, probably literally almost exactly.
yeah, almost.
Well,
yeah.
you were just starting to date Mindy then.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
It
how'd that
worked
end?
out. We got
There you go.
Oh, nice!
Hey.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, so we still celebrate our dating anniversary, which is 5 years this month. So we're headed to Costa Rica for that.
Oh, wow, okay.
So,
You're
and,
welcome.
Yeah, right. It's all your fault. She was so impressed, man, by the show.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
She remembers the beer. I told her we're coming back here. She says, "No, I didn't talk, but I had beer."
Yep.
But,
So what you been up to?
Man, same old stuff. Still. So when we talked last, I'm involved in a lot of businesses, and we were doing the music stuff, and we were kind of talking about that, and
Mm-hmm.
we started our security company, the alarms that you had mentioned earlier, and that's taken off. So that's pretty much what I'm doing, man. That's got me busy, working 100 hours a week, and get to travel in the country. Not far, but Chicago this week. And
Love
that's
checking.
it, man. Working and hit the gym. That's about it.
If you get a chance, go to prudentialalarms.com. Greg was showing me some of the neat stuff. My favorite feature he showed me is they actually have cameras you could put on your front porch. If somebody rings the doorbell, you get a phone call. You can actually answer them, so it seems like you're in there through a speaker, or you can tell, I assume, UPS to leave the package.
Yeah,
like,
you
I
can
mean, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
right?
they don't know if you're sitting at work or you're sitting on your couch. You just don't want to get up. They have no idea.
And this thing was high definition. Like
Yeah,
I
it's
could
full
literally
1080,
see
yeah.
cars from the example you showed me on the road, and kind of almost get an idea of what cars were driving by. So
Yeah, literally.
that was neat.
Yeah, we got to hook up your mom.
I know
That's what we gotta
she needs it around the whole house, and just like be like all inclusive in there. But that was the neatest thing you showed me, and that's is there another product that's that you out there that you just are kind of blown away about, like technology?
Almost on the exact same length. Like it's they're called floodlight cameras, so you can put those on your doorbells or on your porch lights, and you can talk to people around your house, set off sirens and stuff. All that real time stuff is really cool.
Right.
And just the alarms. It's cool to know who's coming, who's going. I had mentioned earlier with technology, I always know where my wife is, even if I don't want to. So as soon as she unlocks my door, I'm going to get a notice on my phone that says, "Hey, she's home."
Wow.
So that stuff's pretty cool.
And in Michigan, so many people have a second home, a cottage, and stuff like that. That's what, when you originally showed me that's, yes, it's great to have the home security, but if you have a rental property or a place you're not at often, you literally can be there in real time and kind of see what's happening in a property that you might only visit in the summer, a hunting cabin that you only do during hunting season. But the applications were amazing, and then when you said the price, I was amazed at the price too. So I was like, wow, because stuff like that, when technology comes out, price is always high, but then you said some of the prices you guys offer, and it seems like technology now has leveled off where it's affordable no matter what it is,
Right,
whether
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
iPhones or anything.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and on the alarm side, we literally give alarms away for free now. We don't even charge for them. You just pay your monthly bill every month. So if anyone needs an alarm, let me know. You guys can text me, 734-431-2861. That's my cell phone. Shoot me a text, give me a call. If you're Detroit area or anywhere in Michigan, we'll get you hooked up.
And, for the most obvious application is where we live, crime has ventured out even closer to us. And so, I mean, the number one thing, safety. And ideally, security alarm systems, everybody's running to get a gun. But at the end of the day, a security alarm system will even most likely what's the word?
Deter. It's a
No.
deterrent.
I wasn't gonna. It is a deterrence, but I was gonna say, even though you have a gun and you might be Clint Eastwood, at the end of the day, you just don't want that guy coming in there and making that decision or something like that.
Right,
and
absolutely.
that's the first line of defense. Still, is a good security system that once a siren or something goes off, you're not in that predicament where you're in that situation.
Right. You know what I use mine most for? My cameras, honestly? I live out in the middle of nowhere, man. I'm out in a state park, but I like to check on my dog and see what he's doing.
And you get to talk to him.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah, if he's on the couch, he's not supposed to be. I'll yell at him and tell him to get down.
He's like, what's going
Right,
on?
Holy Zeus, what's going on?
Yeah,
So-
that's what I use the most for. man.
Somebody's calling me. That's great. But you've also became a pretty big MMA fan since I've last.
I mean, I was
Right.
a fan.
But
then,
even bigger now,
Oh
it
yeah,
seems.
absolutely. Yeah, man. It's, it's my favorite sport to watch.
That's
Without a
cool.
doubt, yeah.
So what makes it? Because people ask me to explain it, and because I work in it, it's tough for me to explain. But what changes? What is it about the sport that makes it number one in your book? Because Fox Sports, ESPN, they want to know because they're all searching.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it just entertaining to watch, and then being that I'm like a gym buff and I like to push myself. It's one of those things where somebody who's at the top, they're there because of how hard that they're pushing themselves. And even though they have teams, it's not really a team sport, man. It's you. You know, you're out there against yourself and you're working and pushing and I like that. And one of the things that I kind of like, and I think some people may think it's a little bit cheesy, but like how the UFC does things where they'll follow the fighters around and kind of show you what's going on with them. Like I'm into all that stuff, so I think it's cool to just see the training, see how much better someone can get. And now that I've been watching it for a few years, it's cool to see, people from 5 years ago and where they're at now, how much that they've progressed. And,
We were talking how much the sport has evolved. Now
Oh, yeah.
people have been in it longer.
Right, like I can't wait to see 10 years from now when these kids who have been training since they were young kids get up to the professional level. Like that's going to be insane.
Right. They've been disciplined in it so much that's it. Now, Bellator on, you watch Bellator too, or is it just a UFC branding?
UFC does a really good job at their marketing, and they kind of, get me to stick to it. And I don't have a problem with Bellator at all by any means. They've got some good stuff going on. But I will say I've been lucky enough to go to UFC in person and go to Bellator in person, and I hated Bellator in person.
Yeah.
As a spectator, it felt to me like all they gave a shit about was TV. And so there would be like nothing happening, nothing going on. And they're like, okay, in 10 seconds, we're going to be live. Everybody's screaming. I'm like, I don't want to scream for you. I'm not your puppet. I'm here to see your show.
Right.
And that wasn't cool to me. I didn't like that.
I was telling Rochelle, the coolest thing about UFC is the Who Teenage Wasteland when you're getting ready for it to go live to the pay-per-view. They're blaring the Who. They've done that since as long as I remember. And, the anticipation's building. And if it's a card you're excited for, you've gotten through the prelims, you've gotten through, and they're getting ready to go live. And, they darken everything in the octagon and, the Who, no, not the Who,
Teenage Wasteland is
Bob
the Who.
O'Reilly, yeah, Bob O'Reilly is the
Okay,
name of the song.
right,
I can remember.
Yeah.
Bob O'Reilly's playing, and you just, it hypens up into it, and maybe it's a good card, maybe it's a bad card. We will talk card. Let's move on really quick and then Cody just hops in. But as a fan, because we'll ask Cody as fighters, everything that could have gone wrong with the card did. But it seemed like when you were texting me, you enjoyed it still.
Oh, absolutely, man. There were
Like it was saved
yeah.
somehow.
I mean, it was there were good fights. It didn't matter what happened,
Well, let's start with fans' perspective. Khabib went against Al Iaquinta. That's his third opponent. So you gotta, everybody's like, Khabib maybe didn't look well or wasn't as good. But remember, prepares for Ferguson. Ferguson goes down. Holloway doesn't get approved. And Al Iaquinta on 24-hour notice. And I don't care where Al had been. He could been in Australia and 400 pounds. You just aren't preparing to fight. You're preparing for an opponent.
Right. Yeah.
So Khabib had to do that, and he still I thought we were listening on the way in. People are really hard on Rogan because he thought, Al showed holes in Khabib. They were saying on Sirius XM. That guy had one hell of a week,
Right.
with the Conor McGregor stuff always hanging over him. But you brought up a great point. How is it an undisputed belt? And Al Quinta, as much as, hey, thanks for stepping up.
Right, you're not taking anything away from the guy, but how is Khabib the undisputed champion? You got Tony Ferguson's got a title right now. Conor
Yep.
McGregor's got a title right now. Now they both just lose. I mean, I get Conor's getting stripped or whatever, but
Yeah.
so Tony Ferguson's not an interim champ anymore. That doesn't make sense to me.
Right. Well, I mean, the whole reason that they had the interim belts in the UFC is that Dana White didn't like stripping people because of injury, and then Ferguson goes down, and now, like you said, there's another. So
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like I'm not a huge stats guy or anything, but I think that Al's number 11. So you come in, you beat the number 11 guy who really hasn't had that many fights recently,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're the undisputed champ. That I don't know. Maybe he's good enough to be the champ, but I don't feel that fight necessarily proved that,
Right.
or that
So watching it, do you think Khabib has any better shot at Conor McGregor? Because I believe Conor will be back.
Yeah, they're not.
God, it blew over quick, Jimmy.
Yeah.
I told you.
Holy shit.
What did I say? You didn't believe me. Every time we've gotten into a dispute over what's going to happen with something, you always say it's going to be this, and I always say, nope, it's going to be more minute like that. And 99% of the time, I am right.
I don't know about that.
99% of the time, I am right. When we're in disagreement over something that happens.
Okay.
You guys are in disagreement every week.
Makes the show
Yes, you are.
competitive.
We are not in disagreement every week.
I still think New York
Okay, hold on.
Commission
On the
is gonna come
show,
down on 'em.
on the show, we're in disagreement because you can't have. Well, I agree with you. Well, I agree with you. Well, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? You got to have a back and forth or whatever. But
Well, actually, Brad.
when we do the text messages offshore or whatever, 90% of the time I agree with you. 10% of the
I'm
time.
just talking here. It's
I know.
always something.
I'm like 10% of the time though when we're talking, I don't agree with you, and it's the 10% of the time. So 99% of the 10% of the time I'm right. Because I'm disagreeing with you, but then I also tend to be right. Because I told you it was going to blow over real fast because it just they can't afford to not have Conor McGregor. And now imagine this. What is that fight going to be like?
Well, first off, I think New York's going to come down hard, but
I disagree.
But here's the thing: it doesn't mean that he couldn't fight in Russia, and we know Khabib is probably fighting on the Russian side of it.
But even
first
then,
off, how much bodyguards would Conor have to
Yeah.
go into Khabib Nation after what he just did with the Irish people?
But was it anything different than business as usual for that guy? If he didn't break out that window at that hand card,
Yeah, you brought up a good point on Saturday.
if
Or
he
Friday.
didn't break out that window, is it any different than anything else he ever does?
No.
And I think that breaking out the window was a mistake. I don't think he did it on purpose.
Right.
That's just my opinion.
Man, he gets
And-
crazy sometimes, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, but Cody made the good point online
Mhm.
that basically these guys are animals
Yeah.
in the cage for a living. This is what you expect from them. And then just because you walk out of that cage and you're outside, something's going to trigger you. Oh, I'm going to step back.
And that's the one thing though. We've all done something stupid, and you're like, man, it was the moment.
Yeah.
He had a whole transatlantic flight to think about that, and
Yeah,
they still did that, dude. Like, it's one thing if me and Jimmy go, hey, dude, let's go like TP the Pizza Hut or something like that. But it's another thing for him to go, let's fly across the country and then go TP a Guinness bar or something like that. Halfway through, I'm gonna be like, this
But like
idea's
Greg
crazy.
said, that is him.
Yeah,
And-
like, I
Yeah.
don't think he was being an animal, some uncontrollable, crazy guy. I think he's just an entertainer. He's a showman, and he knew what he was doing.
Dude.
I don't think he went crazy and went ape shit.
No, but you know what I mean? They've got that, that's what you're expected of, the MMA fighters, boxers, is that, you want them to be violent.
I'm not gonna name drop, but
Yeah,
one
you
of-
are.
No, I'm not. One of the
Hey, where's
biggest.
my bell?
No. One of the biggest stars in the sports we cover, and me were walking around an arena, And Rochelle's been with me when this has happened, and every freaking guy, can I see your credential? Can I see your credential? Hey, you guys aren't allowed here. You're like, you know who that is, right? Credential. Did you just see the Barclays Center people just watching them throw stuff in there, the security guards? I've never been in an arena that's happened like that. Like, it's like none of them, they're just like, I don't know if they were in shock or what, or that's where people got the idea that it might be staged because they're just standing there.
Well,
it's like...
that, but I mean, how many security guards have you met in your life?
Around arenas, a lot.
Yeah, and how many of them do you think could stand a chance trying to fight Conor McGregor?
Oh, no, none.
And they all know
And they know
that.
who he is, yeah. None of them had credentials. They're just running around like crazy. They had to back the bus up and lock the cage on the bus so that they couldn't still get access of it. Then they all hop in an elevator, which is crazy. Like, the whole mob organizes the elevator as they go up in the Barclays Center, and then they just run out into the streets and stuff, which is just...
When I
crazy.
saw that whole thing, I even told you, Brad, I thought it was staged, and to the point where I even told you, I'm like, if this was staged, I'm not even going to watch this crap anymore.
Right.
And I'm still not honestly convinced that it wasn't staged. I just think that the window busting out was a mistake.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a hard time believing that Conor McGregor and his whole crew of people from Ireland were able to sneak into arena and open doors and do all this crazy stuff.
Yep.
I don't believe it. I really don't. And that's just, again, from an average fan's perspective. I don't believe it.
Now, it's going to be really interesting because how many people do you think are going to get lawsuits out of that 30? Because there was other people throwing stuff.
Now, you said you've seen it. But what was it, Michael Chiesa?
Chesney?
You've seen his face? Because I have still not seen his face.
Yeah. On the UFC Embedded, we actually shared it on the Undercard. He was cut. He didn't even know what happened, and you could tell he was just like, "Where'd that come from?" And somebody's like, "He threw a chair, or he threw a dolly," and they're like, "He's like, what?" And he's just bleeding down his face. That sucked. That a fighter that had nothing to do with the beef between Khabib and Conor gets in the middle of it, and you lose a fight opportunity. But I guarantee you, he's getting paid. It'll probably be a settlement. If Conor comes back to the UFC, it'll be a settlement. And the settlement will be more than Michael's going to probably make in his whole career. And so, weird situation, kind of like slipping on ice in front of a business or something.
Yeah, good day for him.
Yeah, good, bad day, good day, though, And so he might, and you know what? The crazy thing is, people that didn't know of Mike before that now know of him because he'll always be the guy that had the bloody face from Conor McGregor. Like, he's almost folklore now. Like, I mean, if you had a nosebleed right now, it'd be like, hey, it would be one of the things that would roll off you. Just like if Jimmy throws a dolly, I'm gonna be like, you pulled a Conor McGregor. Like, you just throwing some dollies there, dude. You're crazy, man. Pulled a Conor McGregor.
Okay.
Oh, you would say that.
You got to look at your face like you kind of want to throw a dolly.
If you threw a dolly, I'd be like, Brad, what the fuck is wrong with you?
No. I'm saying if you threw it, I'd be like, you pulled a Conor McGregor. You threw some Office Max material.
Yeah, but I mean, he's not the first one to throw stuff around like that. He won't be the last.
Right.
It's not a Conor McGregor. It's just that happened to be an implement that was near him when he went off, and that's the particular thing that he threw. Could have been a chair, could have been, whatever. It just so happened that was what was, available to him.
He's like, he looked like Irish Hulk. Just was like going nuts in there and just like break stuff, Hulk smash, and just kept grabbing stuff. I mean, his entourage was eventually stopping him. I think he was picking up like a giant cage. So he probably knows what it's called, or with the guardrails. Like it looked like he was going to throw that next. Like here that comes. You know? And that would have broke much more windows.
Yeah.
Like that would have if he lands cleanly.
Yeah.
I was actually surprised. You think a bus like that would have been a little bit more shatterproof? I'll be honest. I mean,
I don't know. You
I don't
remember,
think
remember the glass at Little Fuse Arena? This stuff's pretty.
I was gonna say you don't make a bus with the specific intention of, at some point in time, someone may take a dolly and try to throw it through the windows. Unless you're making a bulletproof glass for, like, security reasons, like, it's just tempered glass.
And then
That stuff shatters pretty easily.
Didn't they
It's supposed to shatter easily.
okay, I saw people online. I am not anti. I have no say in this, but a lot of people were critiquing the bus driver for not like going. Like, I mean, this stuff's
Yeah.
happening and he's staying there.
Yeah.
Like, pull out, go. You know,
Yeah.
like you don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
But if he runs somebody over, that's his ass.
yeah, and that's the
That's
other thing
true.
too. There, you don't know, like people, there might have been people like running back and forth. He may have not been able to, take off without accidentally maybe hitting somebody. You don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that they actually felt that threatened.
Oh, that's probably true. Clearly the Barclays Center people were not, because they're just standing, like I said, in the hallway and not doing anything. But yet I'll get stopped a million times in the arena for my credentials.
That's because you have that look.
I do have that.
Yeah, that look that you're
Gonna
you're
throw
getting
some
into trouble.
dollies, dude.
No, that you're going to get into some kind of trouble.
No one ever stops me at most arenas.
That's good.
Yeah.
You look
That's
like you're
weird.
just
I was gonna say,
determined
look
to
at
go.
you. You're just like,
I do.
Yeah.
I do just walk past.
They automatically assume that you belong there,
Yeah, it happens.
no matter what it
all
is.
the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's part of. I've worked in security my whole life,
Uh-huh.
and I've kind of.
So you carry yourself that way.
I just figured that if I look like I'm supposed to be there,
Yep.
generally they believe it, and it works.
Yeah.
I've gotten into concerts with no tickets like that. I just walk right through. Many times.
I've done that behind stage with some people. We just kind
I
of
don't
walk
know what you're
by.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I've done that to get behind stage with people we want to meet. We just actually.
I just can't. I can't do that.
Oh,
I
I
just
got.
follow along.
I got an
I just
amazing.
can't do that.
I got an amazing technique where I distract them with something that I know they won't know the answer to, don't we? And we walk right by them every time. I talk, I make eye contact with them, and I say something that I know they would possibly not know, and then I just keep
Like
walking.
what?
And anything, and I'll
right,
just,
okay.
as I'm walking away, I go, never mind, I'll figure it out, and I just keep going. But it works. It's worked at very colleges with security. It's worked everywhere, and I just go,
worked
whoops.
at liquor events.
Yes, exactly.
I got down on the field at the Outback Bowl this year.
Just kept
Yeah,
walking.
I got a video of it on Instagram. Yeah.
Just kept
me and
walking, no
everybody
one stopped you.
Walked all the way down.
You Kevin Harted it, like
all the way
Philadelphia
down
Eagles.
through the tunnel, right out onto the field. Right at him.
What were you wearing?
A hoodie. It was cold down there. It was awful. Yeah, I've not escaped the cold yet this year. It was like 39 and raining that day. I went to Myrtle Beach a couple weeks ago. It was warmer here than it was there.
But you got Costa Rica coming up for the anniversary,
Yeah,
so.
hey, I hope it's warm.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be warm.
Yeah.
In non-hurricane season. We're going to go to our first break. Cody, I believe, is momentarily away. We'll continue with our UFC talk. A lot has happened this week. We will be back in about 10 minutes. You took to social media. I liked your stance on it.
I was just trying to stir the pot.
And you did. Because all of a sudden all the keyboard warriors were out, and I saw you
yeah.
doing battle.
Yeah.
Round 1, round 2, round 7. Just keep going. But what's your take on it? Greg gave a fan's perspective. Let's get somebody part of the UFC organization perspective.
He, his stock definitely went down doing that. There's no question. It would have been, in like a fighter's eyes, it would have been gangster if he would have went there and just met Khabib in the hotel and just walked up to him and just punched him in the face. I think everybody would have cheered that on, like, good for you. You went and defended your team and your friend. Cool. But the way he handled it, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I could have. It couldn't have went any worse for him. You know what I mean? Having like all the people that had nothing to do with their little beef, getting hurt. I mean, it's the worst thing that could have happened. I mean, like, he literally shot himself in the foot. I mean, not only does he look like a bully, but now he's gonna have some terrible lawsuits coming his way soon. I mean, the guys that didn't fight, and the UFC, I'd imagine the UFC probably won't sue him, but they might give him a little smack on the wrist and say, hey, Connor, you owe us kind of deal. But, I mean, like Mike Chiesa, Ray Borg, the guys who didn't fight, Paul Felder, all those guys whose fights got messed up, I mean, those guys are going to be awarded, some serious compensation for, the injuries and, having not been able to fight.
And oh, now my mic's down.
Sorry.
We were talking Chiesa really quick. Bad night for him, but good night. You're going to make millions. It'll settle out of court.
Yeah, he's going to make more probably than he would have if he had fought.
His whole career, maybe.
Yeah.
It could be like a $5 million settlement or something like that.
Yeah, it would be something nuts like that. I didn't think the cut was that serious. And then Ray Borg said he got glass in his eye. The guy wears glasses. I don't know how that, you know what I mean? Like, he wasn't even, from what I've heard, he wasn't even anywhere near where the window was broken. Mm-hmm. And then he said he got glass in his eye. He wears glasses. Like, he wears, like, big glasses.
Right.
It'd be hard for, him to get glass in his eye, having not been close to, where that window was shattered. Chiesa was, like, sitting right there. So
well, yeah, Chiesa didn't know where it even came from. You watch the video, and it looked honest. He's like, where'd that come from? And, like, somebody's like, Connor threw something. Like, you could tell he was bleeding. He's like seriously? Like, you ever be on a bus and you're leaning your head, you're just relaxing? They're weight cutting, remind you.
Yeah.
It seemed to me he was probably like napping against the thing, and when it happened, because that's the only way I see it happening. But
what a mess! What an absolute mess!
You've been in that situation where you're cutting weight and you're going through the media interviews and stuff like that.
It's exhausting.
Right. And then you had to deal with that stuff because Rose walked back to the hotel. She supposedly was distraught. What a distraction. Now, let's turn it this way, though. Khabib has to deal with this. This is his third opponent. Ferguson goes down with injury. Holloway's not approved. And then Ali Quinta steps in. Knowing that you just don't prepare to fight, and I was talking to Greg about this, how impressive is it that Khabib not preparing for Al, even though Al is not normally where competition should be, still kind of walks through him. You just be Khabib being Khabib.
I mean, Al's a tough dude. I mean, I think he was ranked number 11 going into that, but I can't think of the last time Ali Quinta lost. I mean, he's absolute killer. Like, he's one of those guys that, was maybe a fight or two away from, being in that position. Obviously, he got moved up pretty fast, but I mean, Khabib. I mean, everyone talked about how hard it would have been for Khabib, but Khabib doesn't really adjust his game plan for people. He fights everyone the exact same way. Like, for a fact he's gonna hit you with a lazy jab and just try to fuck you the whole time. Like, that's his game plan. I mean, he's really, really good at it. He's the best at it. Mm-hmm. He's so much better than everybody else at it. It's insane. But at the same time, like, I think any guy that you put in there against Khabib, his game plan is always gonna be the same. He's not gonna be a guy that, like, he's too far into his career to just ultimately evolve into a stand-up guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, you saw it. His stand-up's not very good. It's effective for for what it is. But I mean, if he wears guys out on the ground, he drags them into his fight for a couple rounds, and then he tries to fight guys on their feet. That's like what he does that every single fight. I mean, every single time. He doesn't really finish anybody. He just he wears on them. I mean, his positioning, from a technical standpoint, from a fighter standpoint, what he does is insane, and the way he does it is awesome to watch. But I mean, he's not really that exciting of a guy.
Mm-hmm. Which brings us to you being a fighter. Always got to ask fighter perspective. Clearly, Conor didn't handle it correctly. That fight versus Khabib was there for him. I mean, it's tough to. You wanted to friend to friend. You were telling me.
I think it's there more now because now there's a huge backstory.
Mm-hmm.
They're a business. They're gonna build off this. Conor's
You would hope so.
Connor's he's gonna get a smack on the wrist, and he's gonna end up fighting Khabib. I almost guarantee.
Oh yeah.
I almost guarantee it. I wouldn't even be surprised if. I don't think the UFC had anything to do with it, but I wouldn't be surprised if there weren't some people that turned a blind eye to what was going on, not realizing that Conor was gonna take it that far and do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there was gonna be an altercation in the back. You know what I mean? And some people on the inside knew about it. Probably not the high up, people high up, but there were probably people that were kind of just oh, it's Conor McGregor. What's he doing here? Turning their head,
right.
Letting him walk in there, and then, but obviously it backfired because he messed up and got other people involved.
Jimmy would have to look up. I think it was the Lennox Lewis press conference too. Tyson's remembered for biting Evander Holyfield, but he also bit somebody at a press conference when there was a scrum going on the press conference. It might have been Lennox Lewis. All of a sudden, somebody felt someone biting him down there. It was Tyson on the ground biting somebody down there.
I remember Lennox Lewis's interview. He's like, I look down and someone's biting me. Tyson. He's like, and then he's just like, I hate getting bit. And all nonchalant. It's pretty funny.
So, as bad as this is, he's probably still 3 Conor McGregor behind Tyson biting in the ring, which is just unheard of. Bit off Evander Holyfield's, just totally disregarding the rules and biting Evander Holyfield's ear twice and biting it off. And then second, I think almost the biting of Lennox Lewis might still be ahead of the bus. It's pretty close. Maybe they're tied for second. But it is the fight game. Weird shit has happened over the years.
I felt like I made a decent point about you can't expect you take a fighter and you put all this pressure on them, and these are guys that you lock in a cage and you watch you basically kill each other in a cage, and you expect them to
live normal lives when
be
they come out.
model citizens when they get out.
He bit him on the leg.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Tyson bites Lewis on leg in public fracas. That was in. Oh shoot!
It's not normal behavior.
But that goes back.
I feel like that's where MMA's headed, though. There's gonna be fights at press conferences and stuff. They're just Conor's just kind of blown this whole thing wide open.
Which
the norm is now, the bar just went a little bit lower.
Which in just a crazy, we talked about it, Cody. This is the craziest in-between weeks we've ever had with the undercard. Floyd Mayweather was shot at, too, in Atlanta. His bodyguard got shot at a Waffle House.
Yeah.
First off, I like Waffle House.
So
in Atlanta, Georgia.
Yeah, so you don't get shot at unless you're doing some shady shit.
No, it's Floyd Mayweather.
No, it's Floyd Mayweather.
But still.
Yeah, I don't think they had
Floyd
anything
Mayweather.
to do
No,
with
I
it.
don't think they were aiming at Floyd, though. I think they were aiming at his bodyguards.
What?
He just happened to be there. Yeah. I think his bodyguards got involved in some stuff.
Where was your theory coming from?
Well, you don't have somebody who just comes out and starts shooting at somebody like that, especially not somebody like that, unless you. So I think, me personally, I think they weren't shooting at Floyd; they were shooting at his bodyguards, and Floyd just happened to be there, and so I don't think they were necessarily shooting at Floyd. I think one of his bodyguards might be involved in some shady stuff. I don't know for certain.
No.
I don't know for certain. I'm just saying, something like that doesn't just happen. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can tell you from experience, though, the counterpoint. in Rochelle's been around, he always has a lot of security. And those
Right.
guys are 10 times bigger than him.
Yeah.
He's only 5'6".
Yeah.
And you can barely see him through the security.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like, he's there. And then the security, they're all wearing the TMT, the money team thing. Then he goes by. Depending at the Waffle House, there might have not been. But, man, that would suck if the security guard deserved it. Or like he is in the altercation, because it appears like that guy was shooting at Floyd Mayweather Jr. I mean, that's what it sounds like.
I mean, I watched the video, and I mean, it's hard to tell because when somebody starts opening fire, everybody starts scrambling. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard to tell. But
What did they do? What did his bodyguards do when did they like get in front of him? They get in between him and the shooter?
I don't think there's any video out of it. I know the bodyguard was taken to the hospital early that morning.
let me
That'd be
see.
cool
Let me see if I can
did.
find.
I'd be curious to see if like those guys like cut and run when the shooting started. Floyd's paying him money and everyone starts getting shot and they're like, no,
They did.
throwing him out in front like shoot him.
It's all fun and games until someone brings a gun.
Right.
So then the rumor comes out by Forbes, which is actually a legit magazine.
Floyd Mayweather's entourage was targeted in shooting, cops say. That's from TMZ one day ago.
No, I believe you.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I
What other conspiracy theories do you have?
Well, I mean,
no, I'm not, it's not a conspiracy theory. I'm just saying, like, I mean, because think about it, okay? So he's got all these bodyguards. He doesn't really know, I mean, he could be a relatively new guy. Bodyguards, you know, tend to do security for a lot of different people. That bodyguard may have been security for somebody else at one point in time.
Floyd's is his own people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all the money team.
Well, I'm saying, but could have been a new guy, part of the crew. You know what I'm saying?
You don't.
I'm
actually
saying
didn't
don't know.
recognize the guy.
You
that
did.
guy-
Okay.
No, I didn't. No, I
you didn't. Okay.
No, and I do know some of them.
Okay.
So I
all I'm
didn't
saying,
recognize
all I'm saying is that it could have been a bodyguard that at one point in time, not necessarily even recently, but at one point in time worked for somebody else, pissed somebody off because of something that happened, and this guy came back for revenge. He just happens to be guarding Floyd Mayweather right now. So I'm not saying that's exactly what happened. I'm just saying it's feasible that they were targeting somebody in his entourage and not Floyd Mayweather himself.
That's very possible. Yeah, we do have a guest calling in any
Okay.
second. We're going to let Cody introduce his teammate here in a second.
Okay.
I don't know how to say his last name.
Why do you think I passed the
Oh,
mic?
come on.
I'm going to bust it. While we're waiting for him to call, though, I mispronounce everything. And somebody lost Wheel of Fortune the other night because they couldn't pronounce. They knew what it said on the board. They had
But they
the
couldn't
letters, but they
pronounce
couldn't
it?
pronounce it. I didn't know that was a rule.
Oh
I would
yeah,
lose on
you have to be able to say it.
That's
yeah.
how I'd lose. It'd be like for the grand prize, $100,000 plus the car, and I'd butcher it, and they'd pass that and be like, no, not pronounced correctly.
I'm gonna call again. Or I can just call. It's 586.
Okay, well, don't say it out loud.
No, I'm just saying is that.
Yeah, say it out loud. What is his phone number?
Don't do that.
No, okay, we got it.
No, all right. Cody, introduce.
Hello?
Hello?
Hey, how's it going, bro?
Hey, this is Munib Al-Osmani making his pro debut this weekend, fighting Jake Lamb at 135 pounds. How you feeling, Munib?
I feel good. Just left the gym. Feeling sharp.
Nice.
You're live on the air, by the way. Cody forgot to mention that.
He should know.
Oh, yeah.
He knows,
So
He's been here before.
Yeah.
he knows the drill.
I don't think Cody has talked about a fighter's potential as much as he has you. You got Jake Lamb happening this weekend. How excited are you to get this pro debut out of the way? How ready do you think your amateur career has made you for this moment?
I feel like I'm really well prepared mostly because of the people I train with, like Cody and Darren and many other guys that I have in the gym with me. My amateur career could have gone a little bit better, had a lot of ups and downs, but I did what I had to. I fought all the people that would fight me, and now I'm ready to make my pro debut. I feel like I've been ready for a little while. I haven't fought in 7 months, and I've been healthy, so it's making me really hungry to get in there and put this guy out.
Now, the Metro Detroit Golden Gloves is happening this weekend down at Burt's Warehouse. Amateur boxing is very much different than pro boxing. A good amateur boxer doesn't necessarily mean a good pro boxer. A good pro boxer might have not had a good amateur career. But in MMA, it's a little bit different. I'll let you and Cody answer this. There's not, besides it counting forever on your record, is there that much of a difference between just skipping from AMI to pro?
What do you think, Manib?
Well, in my opinion, I don't see like a big difference because I got to fight a couple. I think like 5 of my fights had full MMA rules with elbows and everything. So I feel like the only difference is a longer round and getting paid for it.
How about you, Cody? You had a amateur career and a long pro career.
In most states, the rules are a lot different. So most states, you wear headgear, you wear bigger gloves, and you wear shin pads. And a lot of stuff isn't allowed, like knees and kicks to the head aren't allowed in most states. But Michigan is the Wild West. You do whatever the hell you want. I mean, we've been fighting like pretty much no rules, no sanction for ever. You know, amateur fighting just got sanctioned. Like when I was coming up, there wasn't even a sanction. You could like do anything. There was no like governing body to say that you couldn't. You could fight any weight class. You could fight a pro. Like you could do whatever you wanted. But I mean, now there's a little bit of sanction, but still, I mean, like Manib said, it's really not that much different outside of like the rounds and the money. It's pretty much exactly the same. To where if you grew up in California, it would be a huge change because you would go from, you know, having, you know, all this equipment to having no equipment to, you know, having rounds that are twice as long, you know, being able to get kicked and kneed in the head. It's way different. But in Michigan, it's just a title.
Now, Manib, what are you fighting Jake at? What weight class, and is this your permanent destination? How's the weight cut coming for the first pro fight?
So for this one, I'm fighting Jake at 135. Usually I fight at 25. I feel like 35 isn't so bad because I don't have to cut as much weight, and I got to like eat pretty much everything I wanted up until like this last like week and a half. So I feel good right now.
And I don't want you to reveal game plan and stuff, but you've been in the studio with Cody before. But refresh everybody the disciplines that you're good in, and why do you think you had an advantage over Lamb this weekend?
Well, it's no secret that I'm a stand-up guy, but I just feel like I'm prepared for wherever the fight goes. I'm ready to beat him up. If we got on the ground, I want to punch a hole in his head. The same thing if we're on the feet. So that's pretty much my game plan. Just make sure that I'm hitting this guy a lot and letting him know that this is a different type of fight than what he's used to. I want to make it rough for him, you know.
Cody, you fought on every level now. You know, and you're mentoring the people from Michigan top team. What advice do you give the people that are making a pro debut just to stay relaxed? Because as we said, it's still a fight. You know, how do you keep the demons out of the head?
I mean, I was terribly nervous for my pro debut. I don't even know why. It's just a different thing. You just gotta remember it's just a fight. You know, I always tell myself it's just a fight. It's not if you put something like a fight, you know, up on a pedestal, you make it so, you know what I mean? You can make it that much bigger in your mind. It's all that weight, all that pressure. But if you don't, I mean, I look at every single fight like it's just, I just go out there and just fight. And I don't really, you know, consider the like losing, or I don't fear losing, or, you know, all I think about is winning and just doing my job and just let, you know, the pressure and everything go. I would give that advice to anybody, you know, just let it be, just go in there relaxed and, you know, just trust in your hard work.
Now, TXC, it's happening this weekend, Burton Manor, Livonia. It's happening on Saturday nights. Tickets are still available. You can see the debut. But, so we talked about nerves, we talked about your training, we talked about everything like this. What was the big decision, though, that it was amateur time? Did you talk with Fish? Did you talk with Darren? Did you talk with Cody? How did you know this is the right time to turn pro?
Well, I just had like I wanted to make like one last tough amateur fight, and the guy I wanted to fight was Freddie Rodriguez. He was like a collegiate wrestler and everything. I thought that would have been a good matchup to help me prepare for my pro debut. But after he backed out and like having a hard time getting another amateur fight, I just figured it was time to just go in there and start doing this as a pro because that's what I want to do for the rest of my life.
And when you have a good gym like Michigan Top Team, and there's other ones in the state, and there's other ones around the world, I know you're training with animals. I know Cody goes, hair on fire, goes all out for a training camp. You're probably not expecting anything from Lamb that you've not seen against the quality of your camp and the quality of your gym. Is that safe to assume that you figure that if you can hang with those guys training, that Saturday should be a walk?
Well, I don't think it's a walk by any means, but I do feel like I'm the better fighter, and I train with the better fighters too. And I feel like over the years I've just developed into a much better guy in the gym, and I've been able to build my confidence off that, and knowing that what I've dealt with in the gym with some guys is nowhere near what I'm going to have to deal with in the cage. But still, a cage fight, you got to be ready for anything. You never know what can happen in there. So I just got to go in there knowing that I'm ready, and I'm just going to kill this guy is really all it is.
Cody said that in the past, he practiced his victory speeches. Is there anything mentally that you do differently than other fighters that gives you the confidence going into Saturday? Cody said he recited in front of the mirror the victory speech, saw it through his mind. What mental tricks do you got lined up?
I mean, I do practice my victory speeches like in the shower sometimes, but it never comes out the way I think it is.
Don't admit that.
Just go off the question of that the announcer asked. So yeah, it's always happens different, but there's really no mental trick for me. I mean, just day of the fight, I usually just do a little shakeout in the morning. Cody does them too, so I just do that and just visualize just the initial engagement, because I feel like once I'm in that initial engagement, that's when it's fight time,
Now, away from your gym, name some fighters that influence you, or somebody that you like to watch that you kind of mimic in the ring or cage, or somebody that you hope to be.
Somebody that I hope to be like in MMA.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I liked watching Anderson Silva when I was growing up. That was like one of my favorite guys. I liked the Diaz brothers, Nick Diaz, a lot when I was growing up. Just guys like that, guys who go out there and just get knockouts, finish these guys.
All right. Well, if anyone wants to follow you on social media, where can we find you? And we wish you the best of luck. We know that you're ready for sure. But where can people find you on social media?
So I'm on Snapchat and Instagram at Munib_Salmani, and I'm also on Facebook. It's just my full name, Munib Al Salmani. So those are my social medias.
All right.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time out to have me on.
Absolutely. Come in with Cody sometime, and we'll celebrate the victory. Have a few pops and have some fun. We gotta go to What's on Tap, but best of luck, Munib.
Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. All right, What's on Tap, presented by Falling Down Beer Company.
All right. I sent Rochelle the. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool.
Ooh, you got your intro?
Yeah.
I gotta stick around. for the intro.
Now we can actually play it instead of having to try to bring this thing all the way over here, which makes it a lot easier. All right, this is What's on Tap, sponsored by Falling Down Beer Company. April 12th, Indigo, California, ESPN2. We have Francisco Vargas versus Rod Salka, 10 rounds for the junior lightweights. April 13th at Detroit, Michigan. I'm going to try to read off these fights. We have Winfred Harris versus Aaron Garcia, 8 rounds for the middleweights. Rydell Booker versus Jamal Wood, 6 rounds for the heavyweights. Taylor Durr versus Dwayne Williams. Durr versus Dwayne Williams, 6 rounds for the heavyweights. Daryl Cunningham versus Gundrick King, 6 rounds for the middleweights. Isaiah Jones versus Cameron Burrows, 6 rounds for the middleweights. Frank Martin versus Taryn Arrington, 4 rounds for the junior welterweights. Cortez Chambliss versus Edward Aceves? Is that, do you know how to pronounce that?
Cortez Chambliss. And,
Chambliss versus Edward Aceves.
I don't know Edward.
All right, 4 rounds for the welterweights. Derek Coleman Jr. versus Raul Hernandez.
By the
4
way,
rounds for the middleweights.
Jared Coleman Jr. I don't know if you're gonna be there, Cody, on Friday. Is a beast, dude. Tyson he's scary, and built like Michael Phelps in that.
I think
Wow.
I want to watch him.
We have Josh Wiesel versus Jared Chauvin. 4 rounds for the junior middleweights. And Joel Berman versus German Hoke. 4 rounds for the junior welterweights. Moving
When
on
did you pull
to,
that?
huh?
When did you pull that?
Today.
What time?
I always, like
Barnes is missing
4.
off there.
Yeah, I noticed Barnes was missing off of there.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah. April 14th, Mexico City. We have Sylvia Torres versus Jessica Neri Plata. 10 rounds for Torres' WBA interim women's strawweight title. April 15th at Yokohama, Japan. We have Roita Morata versus Emmanuel Felice Blandamura. 12 rounds for Matura's WBA regular middleweight title. And Diego Higa versus Christopher Diego Higa versus Christopher Rosales. 12 rounds for Higa's WBC flyweight title. Moving on to MMA, April 13th, we have Bellator 197, Chandler versus Gertz, and that's in Missouri. April 14th, we have UFC on Fox 29, Poirier versus Gaeth, I think is how you pronounce it. Gaethje? Gagey. Okay. Gagey. That is in Glendale, Arizona. April 14th, we have TXC Legends 12. That is the Burton Manor, Livonia, Michigan. And that is it for What's on Tap, sponsored by Falling Down Beer Company.
All right. Hey, I love you for doing that. I couldn't do that. I couldn't pronounce all those names.
I thought there was going to be beer when you said that.
Yeah, no. No, not always. Not always.
But yeah, I couldn't pronounce them. That's why. But the ones I do know,
I always try to look it up, and then I try to like put it in Google, and then try to have like Google pronounce it. And
did that with that Russian.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes out okay, and sometimes I can't even understand the pronunciation that Google comes up with.
Speaking of which, before we segue back into talking, our good friend Alexei Zubov, who's been in studio with us, he's in Creed 2. He's right now, he's working out with Dolph
Lundgren?
Yeah, but Ivan Drago's son.
Right.
Victor
Drago. In the script, he's actually on the movie set right now, playing, I don't know, a Russian opponent or whatever, but good for him, dude.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah, all of a sudden he's got like an acting gig. So
yeah.
Good for Zubov. I mean, he looks the part. Big Russian.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? I don't know if he's speaking in it. I don't know anything about it, but hopefully
you will lose.
Hopefully he gets a union contract from it and gets royalty checks the rest of his life.
That's pretty cool.
He's going to be in Creed 2, so we found that out. Yeah, it must be.
You will lose.
So that's actually shooting.
Yeah.
And so good for Zubov. But all right, so we're going to wrap up our discussions on UFC. But what was your overall, as bad as it could have been for the UFC, it seems like, and I've still not gone back and watched all because I was covering other fights, people liked the card, though.
Yeah, the fighters went out and made it happen. I mean, that's really what it's about. It's about the fights. I mean, that's the most important part. And you can have all the hype in the world, and there's been cards like that where it's like the perfect card. All these big-name guys are fighting, and all the fights suck. For whatever reason, guys just don't go out there and like, put it on. But they did. This fight, the fight card was awesome. Like, I bought the pay-per-view, and I was happy with it. And sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I'd get my money back.
Spend that money, yeah.
Sometimes I'll call and get my money back because I'm like, this was terrible.
See, you just like I would assume UFC fighters had a code or something. You got to pay for a pay-per-view just like everybody else.
Pay just like
Me and
everybody
Greg were
else.
talking about that the other day with business.
We have a fight pass account, but not the UFC. I mean, I'm sure if I really
contract
if I really wanted to, I mean, I could probably call somebody that works for the UFC and be like, hey, can you refund my $55 that I paid? It's like, is it worth it?
I want no red M&Ms in my
green M&Ms.
Green? No, wasn't it red that they didn't want?
You've got them to give your money back?
The most common one is green.
Like
when I
told them that my I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Continue your conversation. Continue your conversation.
I just told him that the streaming was messed up.
I
No.
one time fell asleep and I tried to get my money back, or just to let them. Not to get my money back. I wanted to play it again. I'm like, I was tired. I felt. They said, "I'm sorry, sir. We played it. It's not my fault. You didn't see it."
Oh. Well, no, I was saying when I worked in theaters and we would get riders or whatever for famous
The
people
band.
or whatever, the bands or the performers or whatever, the most if they put the clause in there about the M&Ms, it's usually green M&Ms. And the reason they do that is they don't actually care if there's green M&Ms in the dressing room. What they do that to see if you've read the rider. Have they actually read this rider so that they know that you've read everything that's on there? Because 9 times out of 10, if you call and say, hey, do they really want green M&Ms taken out? They'll say no, they don't, but we just wanted to make sure you read the rider. So that's what that actually is, and why it actually has nothing to do with stupidity or being a diva or whatever. It has to do with, did you read what we sent you?
Fuck yeah, I want green M&Ms. If there's any other, I'm not performing.
Right. And there's some that we only want like green M&Ms, or there was one, I'm trying to remember, Lou Rawls. The only rider that he had, and we asked him if it was true, and they said yes, was that he needed room temperature water. Not hot, not cold. He doesn't want cold water. He wants room temperature bottled water. It was the only thing that he requested. Because I guess the cold, not damages.
Cold and hot water are bad.
Yeah, well, like cold water,
Is the only way.
right? Like refrigerated water is not good for you when you're like singing or whatever. Apparently, so yeah.
Room temp, yeah.
This
Yeah.
is cold.
Well, we got at least a
Take it
month or
back.
two. We got to figure out what Cody's crazy rider would be. Wait for him in the dressing room.
I don't know.
But in contract negotiations, just be
Lasagna.
like, hey, could you throw in some UFC?
They take pretty good care of you. I mean, like, there's like a buffet afterwards after you fight. There's doctors standing by. I mean, they make you feel like you're special. So
But what if next time, because we couldn't do it with the Arnold, Rochelle's waiting for you on the concourse with that lasagna.
that could work.
And just like, you go straight there, you
Work.
take the after picture they do with the team and go straight to the lasagna
Yeah. That'd be
and
nice.
just smash it.
Yeah, this last fight was kind of weird because I had to get stitched like directly afterwards, and I had to get stitched, and like I literally got done getting stitched, and like one side of my face was like pretty much numb because they obviously numbed it, and then like I'm standing in front of 50 cameras, and they're like, okay, let's talk about your fight. I'm like, shit.
Your friend from KOP, Matt, just posted a hilarious. He's like,
that's
if
pretty good.
Mondays make you feel like, and your eyes drooping.
It's a picture of me, like a freeze frame picture when I'm doing the interview.
Yeah, and you got the
he-
soul in the eye and
You
stuff.
got me. Yeah, you got me.
Greg, you marveled at, God, I forget who it was because I was at the boxing event, but you said that somebody's performance stood out, was super entertaining for you for UFC. Do you remember who that was?
You know what? It was 2 guys I've never heard of, and the guy's name kind of was like Khabib. Who was it?
Zabid. God, I'm gonna butcher his last name. It's like Mazamed Sharipov.
That guy is a bad motherfucker. You
He's
watched
cool,
that fight,
yeah.
right?
Tall guy,
like,
yeah.
Man, he was impressive. I don't know how he would stack up to somebody that's really good, but man, he was really impressive in that fight. And whoever he fought, man, that guy would just
Yeah,
he
the
just
performance of
wanted
his
to
life.
get hit, man. He didn't give a fuck. Like that was entertaining, man. That was really cool.
They got the $50,000.
Did they get the dome?
Yeah,
Okay,
got the
they
bonus,
should
yeah.
have, man. They
The fight of
deserved
the
it.
night bonus? Nice.
Yeah.
It was a good
And that
fight.
ended by decision, or like I said, I was at boxing. I didn't
That
get to see it.
that fight was on UFC Fight Pass. It was the first fight of the night, and then because of all the shit that happened, it got moved up to the pay-per-view, and those guys just put on a show. Both of them were unranked.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's crazy. It was cool to see. I mean, that Zabid guy is like, he's like one of the top prospects at 145.
Okay.
Crazy
Yeah,
tall,
I mean,
does
some of
crazy cool
the
stuff.
kicks he was throwing, and I mean, he was flipping and cartwheeling and landing them. Like,
Yeah,
he was
he's
good,
sweet.
man.
Good
Now-
Like I said, I'd love to see him
Probably-
how he would stack up against like a top 10 guy. I don't know, but
He's
in
about
that
his
fight,
next
yeah.
fight. His next fight.
Yeah,
Someone top 10.
Now
He's ugly though. Yeah.
there's people out there in Jimmy and me doing the show for so many years and stuff. There's people that like people to go out on their shield, and that's probably Conor McGregor saying he'll win by knockout or tap out or lose by knockout. So Khabib comes in, and people are comparing him to like a George St. Pierre, which is not a good compliment. As dominant as George St. Pierre is, his fights are typically boring as shit to watch. He dominates and stuff like that. Is that what you see, kind of, Cody? Is like, yeah, dominates, but besides the Russian community, fan favorite.
I think GSP is more well-rounded, way more well-rounded than Khabib. Like GSP can strike, like he can bang, but he also, fights towards the end of his career. His nickname used to be Rush because he just go out there and just put it all on the line. But then towards the end of his career, he's kind of been a lot more conservative because he knows that paycheck's the same. He's gonna go out there and just keep his belt. He knows he can beat guys in a wrestling match, and he does, and he wins. Good for him. But, Khabib, like, he's got one game plan. Like, he's not going to go out and, like, if GSP and Conor McGregor fought, GSP could fight with Conor on their feet, you know what I mean? But he'd have an advantage on the ground. Khabib would die on his feet against Conor, but he'd have a huge advantage on the ground. Like, if he got Conor on the ground, he'd absolutely fucking maul him. So, I don't know. I think that comparing Khabib to GSP, I think GSP's a lot more well-rounded and a lot better overall fighter than Khabib.
Is Khabib as good as they say he is, or are they hyping him up? As a fan, I feel like they're kind of just hyping him up, to be honest.
I think a lot of it is hype, but the guy's 26-0. Nobody does
right,
that.
That's true.
And nobody has an undefeated record. And hello?
Yeah, she is going to actually do that.
5 years. 5 years. Neither one of these.
And I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
6-0.
Khabib, he's just so dominant, like, at what he does. It's not that, like, fan, like, you can't really relate to what he's doing.
Right, yeah.
Like, from a fighter standpoint, like, his positioning and stuff on top, it's crazy the way he, like, manipulates people's bodies and, like, the things he can do in different positions. He's really good at some really, really weird positions, and he always ends up there. So he's super dominant, but I don't know. I really want him. He's like one of those guys, I feel like his belt is kind of maybe not
Yeah, we talked about that.
not
before,
legitimate,
yeah.
right? Because he hasn't actually fought the champ. He didn't fight Tony or
Right.
Conor. So, good for him. He has all this hype, but I don't know. Until he fights one of those guys, there's still a lot of what ifs.
Right, yeah. So you think if he gets somebody on the ground, there's nobody touching him?
No, yeah, he's the best.
Okay.
Like, on top, he's the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best. But, we watched Al Quinta, who was preparing for a kickboxer to defend his takedowns, and Al's not like a decorated wrestler.
Right, yeah.
So, Conor McGregor has awesome takedown defense. Like, he's really, really good at not getting taken down. So, I don't know. I think if I was going to bet on that fight, I'd say Conor beats him.
Now, though, it should be Ferguson's fight versus Khabib. As a fighter, you would think, right? Because you shouldn't lose your spot because of injury. No matter how much they're going to sell, that would suck for Ferguson if he's on the outside looking at Khabib and Conor.
I think the UFC hates Tony Ferguson. Because they, like, even now he's the champ, like, they didn't really push him that much. They pushed Khabib and Conor and everybody else that's been a lightweight champ so much more than they pushed Tony. I don't know who he pissed off, but somebody high up doesn't like that guy.
And but still doesn't mean fair. Ferguson.
Definitely not fair.
But who would you have Ferguson, Khabib?
Watching Khabib's performance, I think Ferguson's a lot better wrestler than Al Quinta, but at the same time, he's susceptible to getting taken down. He almost doesn't defend the takedown. He thinks his jiu-jitsu is really good. So I could have saw Khabib doing the exact same thing to Tony Ferguson. I actually picked Khabib to win that fight before, so I'll take Khabib probably would have won.
Now, as a fighter, do you think that, Al Quinta, we just listened to him, I think, on Sirius Radio. He felt like he missed an opportunity. As a fighter, did you see opportunities that Al missed against Khabib, or was Khabib... Because everybody was saying that Khabib took round 3 or 4 off, or was at least coasting a little bit and doing his thing. Al says he missed an opportunity. As a fighter, did you see something that Al missed to maybe expose Khabib and take it?
I think he just wasn't prepared. So, like, if you're like an explosive striker type guy, like stylistically, like you want to take that guy down in the beginning of the fight because like the grappling exchanges where you're like pushing and pulling people, it fills your muscles up with blood. It makes you a lot heavier. You can't strike and move as fast. You know what I mean? It's like if you did a bunch of really, really heavy deadlifts and then, you know, went and ran a sprint, it'd be a lot harder, you know, to run that sprint, you know, full speed, you know, because your muscles are just, you have like a pump in your muscles from all the grappling. So, you know, had he been prepared, I think there's a lot he could have done. I think it's just more of a gas tank thing. There were a lot, like, Khabib has a lot of holes in his game on his feet. He's not good on his feet. He's decent. I mean, he's not even, there's like, every guy in the top 10 is better than him on their feet. So, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to get exposed because in this game, if you don't evolve, then fighting passes you. You know what I mean? If you don't keep up with the times, then fighting passes you. He's just so good at like the one thing that he does, but it'll catch up with him. Someone's going to defend his takedowns and beat the shit out of him on their feet.
None of us on the show, Greg, is fans of Brock Lesnar. Don't tell me what happened at WrestleMania. I'm waiting to watch it with my son on Wednesday, so no spoiler alerts. But it
I
appeared
just had a spoiler
He
on
won.
Instagram on accident.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea.
Oh shit!
I don't either.
I don't
watch
either.
it. It's like some
You
of
being a
those,
fan, Brock Lesnar, any interest, or has that ship sailed?
Man, it's interesting just because of how fucking big he is, but I don't know. He doesn't deserve the fights he gets. You know, I don't think he ever did. And I don't think he's that interesting to watch. He's just so huge. He's, you know, and he's one of those guys, they just hype him. And, you know, they bend the rules on the drug testing for him. You know, I don't know.
You
I don't care about Brock Lesnar. And they had mentioned that the winner of DC versus Stipe is going to fight Brock Lesnar, and I don't give a shit about that either.
Unless one of them rock Lesnar. That's all I'd like to see.
Yeah, I think Stipe would whoop his ass.
It's very possible. And Lesnar, you just can't look at that body and not assume that he's not on something. I mean,
Oh,
just
God,
people
he's
don't-
juiced out of his mind. But it doesn't take that long for
don't
a system to be
walk
clear.
like
So
that.
if you're going to plan for it,
Yeah.
you know, I'm going to get a UFC contract, then I got to start drug testing soon. Well, he can clean himself up. He's still going to be a 300-pound monster. It's not just going to shrink.
Right. The thing is like he keeps failing drug tests. How is he not? Like
He makes that much money that they probably overlook
he
it.
failed the drug test, got a 2-year suspension, went to the WWE, quote unquote retired. He just hits all the loopholes. So like, he probably announced his retirement to the Drug Administration 6 months prior to his last fight, knowing that he was gonna fail. I mean, there's a lot of loopholes if you like know how to play the system.
Mhm.
You know how to play like the drug enforcement system if you're part of it and you have someone that like looks over it. I don't know. I don't care about that dude. He sucks.
Yeah, for me, like, I'm not a fighter, but if I was a fighter, that type of shit would piss me off because these guys get preferential treatment just because of them being marketable, and it's not, in the UFC anyway, always about who's the best.
But at the same time, Cody brings up a good point. John Jones, I don't know what it could be, but for some reason, the UFC, I feel like since the car accident on, kind of distanced themselves from John Jones. They're kind of in the same place, him and Lesnar. But you don't see the UFC going out to save Jones. But as he said, because Brock Lesnar was so influential in the heavyweight division and made them what they are, there's an olive branch
I don't
out to
know if
Lesnar.
they did go out for Jones. They brought him back. They gave
No, I
him
know,
an
but
immediate title
this-
shot, and he
Yeah,
failed a
they're-
drug test again. That guy's on Instagram deadlifting like 600 pounds, claiming he doesn't take shit.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, I know people can deadlift 600 pounds without being on stuff, but John Jones is not built like that.
Yeah, he's 6'4".
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the worst thing that could have happened to that guy we talk about all the time is that he shouldn't have done steroids, and then he did and just ruined it.
He didn't need it. He's that good. He
Coke.
didn't need it.
Steroids.
Yeah.
Car accident.
Steroids. Car accident with minors in the car, and a DUI.
Right.
It's like, dude, it's like a
tell
rap
you,
sheet. It's like, holy shit, man.
I'm not a fighter. If I do everything he did, my company's going to tell me to get the fuck out. They're not bringing
Right.
him back next year, no matter what I promise them.
Right.
So they had his back. They let him come back. They still got
They'll
his
let him
back.
come
The
back
second
again.
his suspension's clear, he'll be back.
Yeah.
And it'll be a huge deal,
Yeah.
too.
Oh man.
Because, I mean, any publicity is good publicity. That's just the name of, like, this sport. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, look at some of the shit Mike Tyson did.
Oh yeah,
It's nuts.
and he's still a legend though.
Yeah, and
He's
like
an
people
absolute
still like
legend.
idolize him. I mean, because he's just awesome in the cage,
Yep.
or I'm sorry, in the ring. You know, he was just so awesome.
Your average fan is not a fighter. Your average fan has no idea what it takes to be a fighter. They don't know what you guys go through. They just want to be entertained.
Yep.
And they are. And they
Yep.
pay for it.
And they hate you when you do something bad, and then a couple weeks later they kind of forget about it because it's not in the media anymore. They got something else to focus their mind on, and then 6 months later when you come back, they're like, well, yeah, he did that, but I think he's gonna win. You know what I mean? It's like this weird. I can't explain how. I don't know how it works.
I think that bothers me more than anything is the people that are at weigh-ins and will get mad at a fighter for not hitting weight at 1.6 or something like that. And you know sincerely they tried and stuff like that, but they act like they could figure out a way to get that 1.6 off. All of a sudden they have all these things they heard about or what they did back in the day in wrestling, and it's like, some people just hit a limit where it won't go down anymore.
Dude, I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen guys sit in a sauna for like 45 minutes and not, like, their body just will not sweat. Like, sitting in a sauna, like, someone's, like, rubbing their skin, trying to get, like, create friction so that, their body will release water, and it just won't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys mentally quit, and some guys just, like, their body shuts down, they can't lose any more water, and there's a difference, but it all gets labeled as the same thing. Like, you just didn't make weight. I mean, but it is ultimately part of your job, so I'm not sympathetic for guys that don't make weight. I mean,
What happened to Max Holloway? What was up with his weight cut?
Something with the commission that they just didn't
like
like
something?
it.
They didn't
Not
really
medically
say why?
cleared.
if I had to guess, I would say that he was cutting weight, probably wasn't going well. Somebody on his team was worried for his health, called a doctor, and any doctor is going to come to seeing a guy cutting weight because, like, you're basically dehydrating yourself, like, near death. So, like, any doctor's going to come in and say, absolutely, you cannot cut more weight. You got to stop the shit right now. No doctor's going to be like, no, you're fine. You're okay.
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, no, your heart's racing. You look like you're 20 pounds dehydrated, but I think you can do a little more. Like, any physician, like, that cares about his job is going to be like, cut it. Don't do it. Because if that doctor goes and, like, and says, let's say I'm cutting weight and I'm 2 pounds out and I feel fine and I'm good with cutting the 2 pounds. If someone calls a doctor and the doctor comes and looks at me and I'm like, Doc, I'm fine, the doctor's going to be like, no, you're not. It's got to stop. You cannot cut more weight.
Yeah.
Because, like, we're, like, freaking so dehydrated we
Most
can barely
of it.
walk.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. A doctor can't tell you to keep doing this.
No.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, as soon as the doctor's involved, it's done.
Yeah.
There's no, like, and I'm
'Cause
sure
it-
that's what happened.
Plus,
Yeah.
it's also they're covering their butt too, right, Jimmy?
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
your ass, right?
It's not even
You're
necessarily.
liable.
Well, it's covering their butt and it's liability and all stuff like that, but it's so unhealthy. The amount. I mean, I know you guys do it and you have to do it, to make weight sometimes, but the stress that fighters put on their bodies continuously to try to make weight is so unhealthy. It's so unhealthy, and any doctor in his right mind would never allow that to go as far as it did. I mean, if I was working in the emergency room and somebody like Cody came in as dehydrated as they are when they're cutting weight, the first thing that I would do is jab an IV in their arm and throw like 3 liters of normal saline,
Right.
and Ringer's lactate actually, because you're so dehydrated, you need the electrolytes. I mean, that's an emergency in an emergency room. Somebody comes in that dehydrated, that is a legit emergency.
I've had it happen.
Yeah.
Literally, I had a really bad weight cut, and I was out of town.
Yeah.
I went to an ER.
Yeah.
And they were just like, like the doctor
Yeah.
looked at me, and he was like, you.
Yeah.
Fill this shit out later. Like,
Yeah.
plug me right away. He knew, like, that.
Yeah.
Just look at me, know that I was dehydrated.
Yeah.
And then, like, I was filling paperwork out with an IV in my arm.
Yeah.
It's like,
I
knew.
there's something I want you to do, and it's just out of my curiosity. There's a thing called the tent test, and it's for dehydration. What you do is you take your skin and you pinch it, and then you let it go. If you're hydrated, with normal elasticity, it should immediately go back down. But when you're dehydrated and you do that, it like slowly goes down. When you're cutting weight like that, I want you, if you remember, I want you to do a tent test and count how long it takes for it to go down. Because I'm just,
Hour.
Well, it won't take that long. You'd be dead.
It's
But it would. I'm just curious on a fighter who is that dehydrated when they do the 10 test, how long it would take for the skin to go back down.
Can you stretch any body part?
Any
so
skin,
they,
any
they
skin.
do like they do yeah.
Holy shit.
Long,
It's like Gumby.
Like Pinocchio. They do a test like when you first get there, like right off the plane, like they test you, like they want to find out like what your like lean mass is, how much water, how hydrated you are. I don't know. It's like this weird scale thing that you stand on, and it tells them everything you need to know. And like if you can't be whatever percentage of of water out of your body, you know what I mean? If it's not close to like where you're gonna weigh in at, like then the red flags start coming, and then you got to talk to the doctors and do all this shit. I had to do it my first UFC fight.
Wow.
Because I mean, it was the same situation as Max Holloway. 8 days notice. You're not prepared for a fight. You're probably not on that good of a diet, and all of a sudden you got to fight and make weight. And like it's the same situation. Like doctors involved.
Oh yeah.
Forget about it. Yeah, you're not.
Any medical professional. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a doctor. A medic would look at you and go, I'm freaking dehydrating
That's why, because I cut weight at the UFC Training Institute, and then everyone's just like, whenever I see any member of the UFC, I'm just like, I feel great. And then as soon as they're back away, I'm just like, I'm dying, you know?
Yeah.
But as soon as they're around, you like perk up.
Yeah.
Like, I feel fine. No, I need to check me, doc. I'm good. Because, if they...
If they get involved, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Skeletor face, doesn't have anybody off.
It's crazy. Your body just like morphs.
Really quickly, I wanted to cover, and we'll close with this. I was giving Barnes literally heat about the infrared training. It looked like something out of Buck Rogers, I said.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated. That's so weird. This week covered it, and Cody gave it validity because he said, hey, it's that UFC thing.
Yeah.
So here's what far infrared radiation therapy does. So it's the newest craze in athlete recovery. So like all these gymnasiums are doing it and stuff. For athletes recovering from workouts, nearly as important as training itself, warm baths and cold tubs are old staples, but by far infrared radiation, or FIR it's called, FIR saunas, are trending among pros and weekend warriors alike. What it does is, while a traditional dry sauna simply heats the surrounding air to 190, the FIR stuff, the far infrared saunas use infrared lamps to release electromagnetic radiation, which can be absorbed by the body as much as 1.5 inches in under the skin. The air temperature inside the infrared sauna additionally reaches a much more tolerable 125. Hospitals have long used similar heating techniques for newborns, and it's not a natural occurrence. For most of the history of mankind, folks have gathered around fires at night, absorbing fur while socializing. The science says how fur works is basically like from a middle school science class. Only a small part of the electromagnetic spectrum is made up of visible light. The rest goes through an unseen naked eye. The spectrum between visible light and microwaves infrared radiation has been well known for many other applications, from night vision to heating. Without going into advanced cellular biochemistry, it's explained like this. Fur closer to microwaves than visible light will increase the vibration of water molecules inside your cells, in effect raising the temperature in microscopic regions, not by heat, but by electromagnetic energy. Once proven effective is increasing blood flow in deep tissue, which is the main benefit to athlete recovery. There you go. So it actually, like Cody said, it's at the UFC, but I guess that's the fitness craze. Greg used to own a gym and stuff. It doesn't sound cheap, but I know everybody's looking for that next phase to do. But I was giving Barnes a hard time because it looked like out Buck Rogers, but there is some legitimacy to what they're saying there. And that's it. We'll wrap the show. Want to thank? Well, no. I mean, we're at our time limit.
It's like, I don't know, like cryotherapy, this red light therapy. I mean, it just seems like some kind of bullshit. Go sit in the sauna or get in an ice bath. That's like the more tolerable, easier way to do it. I feel like. Are you scared to sweat? Like, get in the sauna. Or like, you're scared to be cold. Or you don't want to sit 5 minutes in an ice bath. Like, I don't know. I've talked to people that argue both sides, and they're like, dude, this cryotherapy, it's a fucking glorified ice bath for rich people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like $75 to go in a 3-minute
I want
thing.
nothing to do with that shit,
Cryotherapy.
man.
I did it one time. It was freezing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was only like $10 is the only reason I did it. But I was like, this is the ice bath.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah.
Sucks either way. I don't know what this. It's not a big deal. I don't know. I think it's like the more tolerable. I don't know. It shows you what kind of like how pussified society is.
Oh,
Can't
there you
even
go.
like go sit in the sauna anymore. It's too much.
Well, I don't think that has to do with that it's too hot in the sauna. They're saying with this, the heat that you normally get goes deeper, and so your muscles have more chance of recovery because it's getting in deeper. So it's the same thing as a sauna, except it's penetrating farther into your muscles.
What are we talking about? Getting
The
in deeper,
the
penetrating
fur,
further?
the fur.
You
Penetration.
lost
Yeah.
me. Penetration and
Penetrating
getting
deeper.
Penetrate.
Lost.
Well, the argument with the
That's what she said.
ice bath is that like
Yeah, that I
the
don't.
ice bath
yeah.
cryotherapy thing. It's like the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Oh, it cools your core temperature is so much lower.
Yeah.
Well, they tested it, and your core temperature got way lower in an ice bath than it
Yeah.
did in
Well, I'm sure because you're staying in it
cryotherapy.
longer. Yeah.
Like, no, they're like same amount of time.
Oh wow. Okay.
But then the whole thing was like, well, the cold causes nerve damage. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's cold as fuck in a cryotherapy
Right.
chamber too. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe this is legit, but
I'd
I
have
think
I'd have to
the-
read the actual science behind
you want
it.
a real legit like, like speeding up your recovery. And if I had the money, I would do it every day. Is hyperbaric chamber therapy.
Yes.
Like that's
Yes.
legit. I
No, that
there's
is- yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of science to say that
Yeah.
that's
So I'm
legit.
saying I can't say for certain like with this because I'd have to read more into the science of it.
Yeah.
But I mean the basic description makes sense to me.
Yeah.
You know what they're saying it does. Okay, that actually makes sense. But whether it's better, whether it's not, I don't know. I'd have to read. You'd have to have several studies. You have to have a blind. You'd have to have a control. All that kind of stuff. So.
That's very Drago training. Cody's talking about Stallone
Yeah,
running up the
exactly.
mountains in Rocky
Yeah,
IV.
that's
The
exact-
more natural
That's exactly
approach.
what it is.
Just go sit
Yeah.
naked in the snow.
Exactly. He's talking running up
In the-
mountains.
in the-
That guy runs around in indoor
Hey, and
track.
That's
Rocky
right.
won. So
Yeah.
just remember that.
Exactly. He's
Exactly.
chopping
That's all
down
the science I
trees,
need.
Yep, exactly.
So-
It was in Rocky. That's all I need to know.
That means it was real.
That's right.
Well, no, that's what the thing's trying to say. The natural
yeah.
elements and the mental toughness he got from that instead of running in an indoor track. So, all right, we'll see each other next week. We'll have the results from TXC. We'll have the results from night of knockouts, and then we'll have a couple guests. Thanks, Cody, as always. Thanks, Jimmy. Thanks, Rochelle. And then thanks, Greg, for stopping
Yeah.
in here.
Yeah, I
man.
appreciate you inviting me out.
Yeah,
Thanks for
absolutely.
everything, Greg, because without you, we wouldn't be here.
That's
today.
true. Yeah.
We wouldn't be
That
under
is true,
fire,
yeah.
that's for
I
sure.
missed the backstory.
Oh, okay. Really quickly, he supported the show the first 6 months. If we didn't have the financial support of him, there would have been no show.
There would have been no undercard.
Well, thank
Yep.
you.
Yeah,
Awesome.
exactly.
All right, we're going to do our quick picture, come up with the title, and we'll be out of here. Take care.
You're listening to the